Hi, guys, and welcome back to another exciting episode on my YouTube channel. As always, my name is Olga Donchenko. I'm a real estate agent in Toronto, specializing in residential real estate, and I'm excited to welcome my guest today. It's Andrew Smith, who is a fitness physiologist with over 40 years of experience in the fitness industry. And I know your experience ranges from designing elite fitness gyms as well as working with Olympic and professional athletes. And I had the pleasure of working with you on a personal note as well. And I know you work with individuals in different fitness levels, age categories to help them reach their goals.
Yeah, it's been a long journey. I know 40 years I've been doing this now. I graduated from University of Toronto in 1984.
Wow. And
It's
you're a
been a long
perfect
time.
example how fitness and longevity go hand in hand.
Yeah, and you've been an excellent client.
Thank you.
You and your husband Andre. So
Yep.
yeah, it's been great.
No, you've definitely kept us on track with our fitness goals for sure. And you always make it fun. It's never a tedious experience. It's always a fun one. Topic of today, the umbrella under which I wanted to get your professional opinion is designing an in-home gym. I feel like a lot of our clients have a desire to develop this space and have this personal gym. So, what are some of the or most important factors that go into designing an in-home gym? Because I know you've done a lot of those in your career and guided your clients through that. What are the factors?
Yeah, in-home gyms are fantastic. It's a great way to motivate yourself to be active and add that into your life. It's there's not any travel time to the gym. It's like get up, go downstairs. I work with some clients on a virtual basis, so they built in-home gyms, and then I work with them via Zoom or Google Meets, and we do a training session right in their home gym. So it's such a great option for people to who don't have as much time. And so that's really one of the factors that you would think about when you're going to think about putting a gym into your home. This thing is, what is it that I want to accomplish? What are my fitness goals? There's so much chatter and talk and information and research that's out there now on exercise. And exercise is like a miracle drug. It's the best drug that you can take for everything. You want to do exercise to, reduce your risk of coronary heart disease, reduce your risk of cancer, reduce your risk of mental illness, diabetes. It just goes on and on. So it's like, how do I add this exercise into my life? A lot of people have put these gyms into their homes, and you really have to decide, okay, what is it that I want to accomplish with exercise? Really, there's only three things. You can look good, you can feel good, and you can play good. So it's like, I want to improve my tennis game, so I want to do some things at home to improve my tennis, my pickleball game. I want to longevity. I want to feel good for a longer part of my health. I want to live the second half of my life under my terms.
Right.
And so that's a big driving factor in people wanting to exercise. And then, we want to look good. We want to,
For sure.
fit into that nice dress for our Christmas party that's coming up, or I want to
Enjoy the beach vacation.
I want to look good in my bathing suit when I go to other ship and do a cold plunge and a hot sauna. So, the other things really, what kind of budget do I have?
Yeah.
Like, how much is it that I want to spend on this?
And I would say, where do you get started? So say you're thinking of putting an in-home gym. Where do you get started?
I think, the first thing is like, where is it going? Is it going in the basement? Is it going on a main floor? Is it a condo and you're taking a certain room? And then, so you think about, this is the space that I'm going to do. I've determined what I want to accomplish. And so here's the space that I'm going to use. Now, what is the access to that space?
Right.
So are there elevators to navigate? Are there hallways that are smaller that aren't going to fit certain pieces of equipment to come into your gym? We've had people, they're like, we ordered this big treadmill and we arrive, the guys come and they try to deliver it. It doesn't fit in the house. It doesn't go through the door. It doesn't go through the hallway that they have. So you really have to, understand the space that you have, and then the access to the space, and then the layout. You want to have like a pretty good open space in your gym. So you want to have certain pieces of equipment that can be, you can have like 2 racks of dumbbells that go from 5 to 80 pounds that take up a whole wall, or you can have one set of dumbbells that are adjustable, and they go
ones, yeah.
from 5 pounds to 52.5 pounds. So depending on your space, depending on what you want to accomplish, and the other thing that goes into it is who else is using the gym. Like, you may be designing it, but it might be for the family. It might be you might want to have friends that come over and do something together in your gym. So,
Right.
all those type of things for sure.
And you mentioned longevity, which got me thinking about lifestyle. How do you accommodate? People have different lifestyles. Lifestyles change over time.
Right.
How do you fit your in-home gym to make sure that enhances your lifestyle or complements your lifestyle, that you can still stay on track with your fitness goals while maintaining your lifestyle?
Yeah, lifestyle is a big part. It's where you are in your phase of life as well. When you're younger and you have younger children, like, that's a priority. Like, you are focused on them, helping them navigate life and figuring out where they're going. So, you may not have as much time. Whereas, somebody like me is a little bit older. I have more time in my schedule to plan my workouts in. So, you may be at a point in your life when you're like, okay, I'm only gonna be able to get in 2 workouts this week, but that's great because it's 2 more than I would have done if I hadn't planned this. For me, I like to try and do something every day. So, and it's, I'm at the point where if I don't do something, I feel like I missed out. Like I get a dopamine hit from it. I get excited when I get up in the morning thinking about how I'm going to be active.
Let's talk spaces. People have from a condo to, 10,000 square foot property.
Yeah.
But also places can be designed differently and bring their own challenges. Are you able to share maybe one of your stories where there was a challenged space where a client wanted to install a gym and how you overcame that? What are some of the creative ways you've tackled that?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I've done different facilities that worked on the Goldring Center at University of Toronto. So they I went to U of T, it's my alma mater, and so they asked me to come back and be a consultant on the Goldring Center, which is a new athletic training facility right across from Varsity Stadium, and it was for their athletes. They wanted to have a community component to it. So they wanted to build this facility for athletes to train and to achieve high performance as a varsity athlete, but they also wanted to open it up to members that lived in the community so they could come in and use it too. So we kind of had to think about that and about how people would work in on that, the training platforms, the layout of the space, the weights that we chose, so that, there may have been some component there that, an elderly person coming in that lived in the community and wanted to use the space felt safe as 150 pound field hockey player who's coming across from Varsity Stadium just finishing their workout, and they're coming over for a strength training workout. So, and she would go to the weight platforms and lift weights. And so, like, integrating the different needs is a challenge. And then I did this other one for an in-home place just down in the annex area, actually, of Toronto. And it was a challenge in that there were a number of different people in the household. So there was the person that owned the house who was away living in England, and he had a certain idea of what he wanted to be in the house. Right. And then he had friends of his that were sitting in the house and using the house. And there happened to be 2 young boys that were athletes. And so they had an idea of what they wanted and what kind of weights and so forth. So it was and then the mom who was, just wanted to kind of appease everybody. So you really had to, speak with each individual and figure out a kind of a compromise, because there wasn't a whole lot of space to fit everything that each of the individuals wanted. So we had to kind of compromise some of the equipment. Instead of a powered treadmill, the owner of the house was used to running on a powered treadmill. The younger guys wanted to do some sprints and interval training to support their athletics. And so we ended up with a non-powered treadmill that you power yourself. So it's, there's one called the Woodway Curve that you get on and you run, and you just run at your own pace. but it'll go as fast as you go. Really good compromise. Sometimes some of the bigger treadmills that you put into a facility need power. And so there wasn't really the power supply to power up a big treadmill down there.
And who ended up using the gym the most?
Well, the kids used it the most, and that's another thing to think about. It's like who's using the gym, because 2 years later, and both of those boys are now off to college and university. So that gym, doesn't get a lot of use anymore.
Which gets me to thinking that probably something a lot of clients don't think of is revisiting your in-home gym and adapting it to your new lifestyle changes, which is what we were talking about, right?
Right.
Like the kids are off to college,
Yeah.
but maybe now you want to change it to do group classes with your buddies, or maybe you want to, change it into different equipment, which would rather be less weights, maybe something to target more of the I don't know, longevity exercises and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Which is point, in terms of setting up the space initially and choosing, which pieces of equipment you want in there. You want stuff that you'll always use, because if there's something that one person is going to use and that person all of a sudden is gone, and that piece of equipment takes up quite a lot of space. I like to think of exercise as, the methods are many, but the concepts are few.
Right.
So there are so many methods to exercise, and that's amazing. And that's one of the things that I would really encourage people to do, is to figure out what they like to do for activity before they choose equipment. So, choosing a treadmill is great, but if you don't like to run or walk or walk uphill, you're never going to use a treadmill.
True.
If you love biking, buy a stationary bicycle. If you love cross-country skiing, buy a stationary cross-country ski that you can use. If you love rowing, get a rowing ergometer. There's lots of options out there for cardiovascular equipment. Strength training, you can get in depth or simple. You can use, you can get away with body weight. You can get away with just having a bench where you sit down and stand up and sit down and stand up. You can get away with just some bands. There's one piece of equipment that you stand in and you actually stand on. They're like rubber bands, so you're functionally balancing while you're standing on these bands, and then you're in a cage, and it's there's a lot of different options for pulling and pushing.
And that sounds like it doesn't even occupy a lot of space.
Yeah, it's if you have a big house and a big facility with a tall ceiling, it would work for sure. Yeah.
Yes, tall ceilings are key, because it reminds me, you were sharing the story about a treadmill, which reminded me of my experience. We have 7-foot ceilings, maybe barely hitting 7 feet in our basement. And when we were designing ours, we decided to get a treadmill. And of course, the treadmills have a bit of a platform. But we got it in, no problem. But then when I started running on it, I was hitting my head on the ceiling.
Yes.
So that didn't work.
Yeah.
That's my personal story.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a bummer.
So what did you end up doing? How did you repurpose that room?
We ended up getting rid of, selling off the treadmill,
Yeah.
and instead of that, we went for a rowing machine, which makes
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect. Yeah.
It's
height of the ceiling is key. Determining your space and then the height of your ceiling, because even on some of the stationary bikes, you're elevated up above your regular height. And so if you have a 6-foot ceiling or a 7-foot ceiling that you can walk under, and all of a sudden you're sitting on a bike and you're upright and you're like, oh, I'm right at the top. This is really uncomfortable. But just getting back to what I was saying about the, the methods and the concepts. So the concepts to exercise, like you can only make, there's 9 physiological adaptations you can make to your body with exercise. And you want to set up your space so that you can do a number of those. You just don't want to focus on cardiovascular. So, aerobic capacity, VO2 max, that's a really, really good, if you have a high VO2 max, it's a good indication that you're going to have a longer life. It's one of the biggest indicators of mortality is having a low VO2 max. However, there are other factors that come into play. Strength. So the physiological adaptations you can make, one is skill. So if you wanted to, pick up pickleball or tennis, you have to learn those skills. And I think one of the things that goes with skill is balance, stability, and mobility. Right. So, having an area with a yoga mat, with some blocks, with some rollers, with some bands where you can do some movement type exercises. So that's one of the things. And then, after skill comes speed. So, how am I gonna put speed into my home gym? Well, you can get an assault bike. An assault bike is a stationary bike, but it has an upper body component to it. And so you get on that thing and you go 20 seconds as fast as you can, and you're going to build some speed into your legs and your arms. Even a rowing ergometer, you can do a sprint for 100 meters on your rowing ergometer. And your third physiological adaptation is power. And we need all of these physiological variations to like age well and to really have the capacity to go on in our lives and do the things we want to do. I think of my fitness and why I'm in the gym so that I can go on adventures. I can go and to be useful, to tell you the truth. I want to be able to go, with my daughter and do some alpine ski touring. I want to go up to my brother's cottage and chop wood all day for the winter and be okay the next day and not have a sore back. Sure.
Can we talk budget? How expensive or competitive can it get in terms of cost associated with setting up an in-home gym?
And that's a great question. Everybody thinks, oh, I got to spend lots of money to, build a gym in my basement. Guess what? Your basement gym can be your TV and your carpet and your couch and a foam roller and a yoga mat and some bands. Maybe you're going to spend like $150 on that stuff. What I would recommend is you get some professional guidance on some exercises if you don't know how to do them, but there's lots of information on the internet and YouTube and how-to videos. A lot of people, they'll look at something online and they'll be like, oh my God, that's for me, I want to do that. And they don't realize that they may have scoliosis, so that exercise that they're doing is actually not the greatest for their symmetry, their stability, and they're actually creating more of an issue in their body, and they may get some back pain or some shoulder pain by doing that particular exercise that they saw online that they thought would be a good thing. So having an evaluation, getting some feedback from somebody who knows what they're talking about is like such a worthwhile investment. And then you can take that and do all the things you need to do in your home. You can spend a lot of money. There's some, the Techno Gym, the top home treadmill, I think is like 10 grand that you can put one of those in. A rowing ergometer is, the Concept 2s are probably around $1,500 to $2,000. They're great pieces of equipment, but you can get a water rower, which is still a really viable and good piece of equipment, and it's a little less expensive. There's some great bikes. I talked about the assault bike. But there's a whole range of spinning bikes and recumbent bikes if you find sitting on a bike harder. And there's a whole range of prices that you can pay for this. And the other thing is look at the used market. Like if you have a budget, there's certainly a very vibrant used fitness equipment market. There's a couple of dealers that only deal in used equipment, and you can save significant money just by buying some used equipment that's still in good condition.
And you get the confidence buying from those dealers, right? They would have verified the equipment to make sure that...
Exactly, yes. So just check the viability of who you're buying from, but they would they go over the equipment and they repurpose it, and they usually will give a warranty with it. So that's
definitely a good tip.
Yes.
Now that you've set up your gym, it looks beautiful, it's exciting, well lit, it's got all of the latest technologies. How do you keep your clients motivated and making sure they stay on track with their fitness goals?
That starts right from the first question. I usually sit down with somebody is like, why are you doing this? What is it that why do you want to be active? Why are you building a home gym? Why is it you want to do exercise? Because that has to be their motive to action, their motivation. That has to come from internally. I think the other real motivator is results.
Right.
And so being able to quantify what you're doing and improving along the way. Get a little sort of spreadsheet and track what you're doing. It's such a motivator. I'm going to tell you a story about tracking. So I have a group of friends that I've been friends with for a long time because, we've been around a long time, like 35 years. And so I guess about 6 years ago, we read this book. It's called Younger Next Year.
Okay.
And we're all in our 50s at that point. And, I've been in fitness. And so I kind of led the charge. I was like, okay, guys, everybody kind of got an idea of the book or read the book. And everybody was committed to exercise because really the book is like, if you want to, again, live the second half of your life under your own terms and conditions, you really want to exercise.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a Younger Next Year signal group. And so every day you're going to text me whether you do a cardiovascular workout, a high intensity interval training workout, or a strength training workout. And so we started doing that, and we thought we'd do it for a year. I think we're coming to the end of our 5th year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
and everybody's getting in their December numbers, and so we kind of total it up for the month, and at the end of the month, I send out the results to everybody. And there's 12 of us on this spreadsheet. And so it's really motivating because every day, everybody's on the group chat, and so they can see what everybody else has done.
Right.
And there's been times like we'll get together and one of the guys will be like, yeah, I really didn't want to work out today, but like I saw that everybody else was submitting, and so I had to get, a strength training workout in there. So I got in, and it doesn't have to be like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of strength training. Awesome. I love it, So
that's a
what we
great
do.
way to keep yourself accountable.
Tracking. Yeah.
Tracking.
Yeah.
And that's even a good idea. Just get in a group chat of some sort with your friends.
Yeah.
And use the gym, work out together.
Yeah.
Or just, everybody has their own pieces of equipment at home, and just make sure you guys keep each other accountable for it.
Yeah.
Are there any trending technologies, equipment, or perhaps other fitness trackers that you're seeing in the industry that you would say definitely will be an asset to somebody thinking of in-home gym?
Oh my gosh, it's really astounding how fast technology is growing. With the Apple Watch, pretty soon they're going to be you're going to be able to do an ECG, which is an electrocardiogram, a kind of look at how your heart is performing just from your watch. I love looking at my heart rate and seeing how hard of a workout I'm getting. And that brings us to another really good point in terms of what exercise is really the best for you. When you're younger, in your 20s and 30s, like you, for example, you're doing some longer, slow distance or some like half marathons or, intense workouts. Like you can explore all that, and you have the physiology you'll get the best out of those workouts at that age. But as you get older, 50s, 60s, I work with a lot of women with perimenopause or menopausal women. And at that point, we're really trying to maximize the time spent exercising to kind of get your body back on track from where it's headed with aging. Right. Okay. So aging, it's unfortunate, but it takes a little toll on your body, but you can reverse that. So a recent study came out, a meta-analysis of all the research that has been done on aerobic training and sprint interval training, which is like going as hard as you can for like 30 seconds to a minute, an all-out effort, and doing repeats of that. So you might sprint hard on a treadmill for 1 minute and then take 2 minutes off and then do that again and do like just maybe 4 to 6 intervals. That type of training has been shown to be the best at increasing mitochondrial number. Mitochondria are like the energy, like the little engine in your cell. So that all your cells that are responsible for everything, your cells drive function in your body. And so the mitochondria drive the cells. And the best thing to the health of your mitochondria, the size of them and the number of them, is sprint interval training. Yeah. Second is high intensity interval training. And third is aerobic training. So endurance training. So, maybe as we get older, we do a little bit more 50s and 60s, we're doing a little bit more sprint interval and high intensity interval training, 1 or 2 sessions a week, and only maybe 1 session of endurance training a week.
Yeah, makes sense. So
Yeah.
you can adapt it. Can we do a bit of a game? I'll shoot out short questions and you just tell us. So cardio or strength?
If I'm in my 50s, I think strength and mobility and stability are as important, if not more important, than cardiovascular.
I could only do 1 exercise a day. What would that be?
If I could pick one exercise to do, it'd probably be some type of high intensity sprinting or assault bike, or something that's going to get my heart rate up very high and involve as many muscles as possible. Rowing
once.
sprints is a good one. That kind of thing.
If you could only train one part of your body, what would that be?
Probably like the number one killer still is arteriosclerosis and cardiovascular disease. So I'd probably, keep my heart going above everything else.
Right up.
Yeah. And also that side benefit from doing like high intensity, like sprints or stuff for your heart, is you're going to get brain benefits from that as well. So, it's kind of sneaky because I'm getting heart and brain at the same time.
Which is good. What is something you would recommend staying away from? Maybe it's a piece of equipment or a bad habit that you would, highlight to make sure people stay away from it.
Like flexion and extension under load with their back. I would be very careful with that. Your spine is meant to move and flexing and extending it. And so making sure that you can move it, but moving weight with your spine, with flexion and extension, that's why you have legs and that's why you have arms, is to use those big muscles to lift and carry weights as opposed to your back muscles to lift and carry weights. So, any exercises that engage your lower back muscles under load in a flexion or extension or twist, I would, those are the ones that are kind of highlighted for me to be like very, very careful with those exercises.
Well, this has been an exciting chat. Maybe we can wrap off with anything exciting in store from Andrew Smith Training. I know you've launched a few gyms.
So we just
recently.
launched a new gym. It's called the Longevity Gym, and it's on Eglinton, just past Avenue Road. And it's very unique. It's aimed at, the people that just want to work on all those physiological variations, adaptations I said, in like a 45-minute to 1 hour. So we've put together a circuit of so this equipment you would not put in your home gym because it's like one of the pieces is like $75,000, but it's like it's called the All Core, and it declines and you sit in it and it declines and rotates. So you work your core while you're stable the whole time. We have a strength training robot that resists your force with as much force as you put into it. We have some, they're called Senso, and it's to stimulate BDNF, so brain-derived neurotropic factor, which is a protein which really protects against Alzheimer's and disease. And it's like Dance Dance Revolution. So you look at the screen and you move your body, so you connect your brain with your lower spinal cord. Nothing better for your brain than to do that. So we've kind of put together a bunch of these different pieces of equipment, and you come in and you go through the circuit. So it's really exciting. We just launched in April, and we're already, almost at capacity, and we're actually looking for our next location. So probably in the West End,
And I've experienced it. I call it. It feels like almost like a NASA workout because you feel like you're a spaceman in training when you're going through. It's really fun. Interesting, and I have not seen that equipment anywhere in any other gym. So it's really, if anybody wants to try it out, and as you said, it's all targeted for longevity. So what I liked about being at that gym is that I had no worry about an injury. Everything seems to be so safe.
That's great.
Well, thanks for hopping on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
And for everybody who's been watching, please leave us a like, make sure to subscribe, and if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I'll be happy to address them and connect you with Andrew so that you can get your journey with an in-home gym or fitness journey started.